Yeah, I was at a meeting at the U.S. Embassy.
Along with Weah Presidency.
Yeah, and the rest of all the political parties. We were at this meeting. The guest has come from the State Department, and he came down. He was touring Africa and stopped by to Liberia and came specifically to see some of the political parties. And we were invited to that meeting, and we were talking about some of the threats to Liberia and some of the issues. And interestingly, one of our colleagues, like Weah Presidency said, we talked down on our country in a very denigrating way. And we after the meeting, we said, look, we can have our differences, but when we have guests like this,
he said you were saying things that have been said over and over, have been said locally. And nothing new, he said.
Well, I'm not quite sure. I was in the meeting.
What did you hear specifically?
In any day, I don't want to, repeat some of those.
So, Mr. Gould, you can start something that you say you don't want to.
Well,
what did he say that constitute denigrating?
Well, I'm not sure even if that may be the right word, but I would not have done that.
He said he did not denigrate Liberia. He was talking about the government and some of the things that were happening in the country.
Yeah, but the image, at some point you have to draw the line, and the patriotism have to come in. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but you have to draw the line. There's a difference between us and Ghanaians. Americans, for example, most of them at one time disagree with President Bush, but when it was the threat to the democracy and the way of living, and they had the war against Iraq, and they thought that they had weapons of mass destruction there, they were all supporting. So,
what was the reaction of the U.S. embassy, the U.S. diplomat? What did he say after hearing those comments from the person you just talked about?
I could just see from the look on his face, like, oh my God, because that is not where you want to wash your dirty clothes. We'll come back in house, we will rumble, we'll remonstrate, we will demonstrate if need be, but we will keep it at a level where at least we have some pride for ourselves. But again, I think we learned from it. That individual, we had an opportunity to sit to another place. I think, the discussion was much more helpful to our country. And not to cover up things for the government, especially so. But if you're coming into things that, you can't even prove, then there's no need, bringing them out.
You think he was saying things that he could not prove?
I think so.
So what was your reaction personally to him?
Well, I had to, the instinct in me told me to come to some defense of our country, and I had to do it with some level of objectivity, so that I myself will not be discounted because as a political party, you cannot be, speaking for government, and that's not what I wanted to do. In fact, if I agree with everything the government did, there would be no need to form another political party. So, but again, our country comes first, and that's our motto: Liberia is first.
Oh, wonderful! That's the motto of your political party.
That's correct.
Liberia comes first.
Liberia is
so,
first.
You, the politicians, the political party here, what are you doing to contribute towards cultivating this culture of patriotism, love for country? Because I see and hear many of you go about denigrating, may not be the word, but saying very odd things about this country and to some extent the government. Some of them are not true. Some of them have been exaggerated, some of them inflammatory, and the rest of them.
That's correct. You use the key words. Our job is not to cover up things that the government would do that is wrong. The government does. But I think what it is, we're not to speak about things that are untrue, that may inflame situation or denigrate the government because we want to gain political dividends. Our job is to be a good opposition, to oppose well, to provide alternatives, where you believe, and to do them in a civil manner. So what we're doing as a political party, we've determined that extremism don't win anywhere. So if you want to be taken serious, you don't have to be extreme. So we're instilling this into our partisans. And most time people follow the leaders for the way.
Obviously.
Yeah, and that's how we want to lead, by example. Not just by the talk we talk, but we also being able to walk the talk.
But among you, the political party leaders, do you have a mechanism set up to do something like a peer review? Some of the things you say, at least a kind of forum where you can talk to one another and say, "Look, you said this is wrong." For example, we are hearing backlash from a senior female's characterization of the president's address.
Well, we don't have that kind of thing, and I think it's a wonderful idea. Mama D, you always come up with these innovative ideas. I think it's wonderful. But what we're doing, though, is that sometimes we do meet and we talk informally, and sometimes there are some formal meetings that we meet on other agendas. But ego always comes in between some of these things, and by the time you start to advance some of these ideas, other political parties may think that you want to, assume leadership over them, and they may, reject that kind of gesture from you. But there are a few of us political parties that are talking very well, and we hope to nurture this kind of relationship in the long run for something bigger. We have a good relationship with the Liberty Party, for example. Very good relationship with the NUDP. We have a professional and cordial relationship with the Unity Party. We are opening up a new frontier now with the CDC. So, and then...
So you got new frontier? You have not started talking to the CDC?
Well, I think we're starting to dialogue now. I think I had a wonderful conversation with Senator Weah. I also had a wonderful conversation with Nathaniel McGill. And these kind of things, I think, will open up an avenue where we can talk more. It had to take perhaps the formation of another party and start making a point so that people can see the need.
Okay, in your words, if I ask you 3 things that you want to do, or political parties to do, to make our political parties strong, what would be the 3 things you want to recommend?
Well, to make the political party strong, they should institutionalize. They should institutionalize, and institutionalize. They should not build a party around individuals. They should build them around ideas.
You have a practical experience on that?
Oh,
that
yeah.
You want to share?
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, talk to me on that.
You bet. I happen to be the founding chair of the CDC, and we built that movement around an individual, and place so much power within its reach.
You're talking about George Weah?
Yes. And
well, how can you build it around an individual? You should be somebody who shouldn't be doing that.
Well, you live, you learn. We were wrong, and that's why we're perfecting that idea with the ANC. How we live, we learn. That was wrong, but at that time we didn't see it, so we did that, and that's too much power for, a person to have. I mean, did a British journalist saying that we revere George Weah. The partisans revere him so much, like a demigod. I heard him say in one of the documentaries that he came down to do. That's scary, and I don't think we need to do that to any individual. It doesn't say whether the individual is doing good or bad, regardless.
But when you are building the CDC around George Weah, didn't you sense any negative output? Didn't you sense any danger?
Well, later on, the danger became to become eminent.
Show me some of the tendency. Tell me some of the tendency that demonstrated the danger that you foresaw. What did he do? What he used to do? Did he show any signs and signals of a detector, the rest of them?
I had to walk into the shadows of the CDC after we passed, and I'm being born again with the ANC, and anointed by that. But, just some of the arbitrariness and the tough will on some of the issues, were some early signs. And the way we selected some of the candidates, was getting troubling now, and nothing will really go on.
Let me ask this harsh question. That's your experience with the CDC and Mr. Weah. What do you think if Mr. Weah is president?
Wow. I had to take a deep breath. I never imagined that after walking away from that. That is something I don't want to imagine. I really don't want to think about that because it is a little scary for me. And perhaps I'm traumatized by some of the things that I had to endure in Burma. But, I wish them well. I have a lot of great friends in there. Obviously, I spent longer years there than in any political party. But I don't want to think about that. To contemplate on that is scary.
Okay, we can push that further.